large part of the work that you're going to be doing this quarter is writing the introduction of our research paper for our research study. So it's probably been a little bit since you wrote the introduction section of a research paper. This is something that you did in Health 318, but I bet that you might have forgotten what those sections look like. So in this video, I'm going to provide kind of a refresher on the different things that you want to include in the introduction section of a research paper. I also posted a PDF that you can read to Canvas that talks specifically about writing the introduction section of a research paper as well, that hopefully will be helpful. The introduction of your paper is a really important section. It's the first kind of part of a research paper, so sometimes it's the first thing that someone might read besides the abstract. And this is kind of the place where your reader is starting in terms of reading your research paper. So you want to make sure that you do a really good job in the introduction to make sure that you grab their attention and they understand what you're talking about, so then they go on to read the rest of your paper. So the sections we typically include in an introduction are listed on this slide. There's kind of 4 different sections that your introduction should focus on. So the first part, the first paragraph of your introduction should really focus on discussing the importance of whatever public health topic that you're writing about. So in terms of how do you justify the importance of a health topic, we might use things like health statistics. So for example, a lot of tobacco-related papers talk about how tobacco use is the leading cause of preventable death and disease. That helps justify the importance of why we're writing a research paper on tobacco use. This is also the place where you want to make sure that you define any terms or any concepts that might not be kind of common knowledge. So you should always write this introduction section assuming that the reader doesn't have a background knowledge and they don't understand things that aren't just considered common knowledge. So if you're talking about, let's say, for example, you're talking about the Affordable Care Act and how insurance companies are supposed to provide comprehensive coverage for tobacco cessation treatments. Well, most people are not going to understand what comprehensive tobacco cessation treatments mean. So you might need to define that for your reader in this first section. If there's any other terms that aren't really common knowledge, you want to define those as well. You should also make sure you're defining any acronyms that you might be using early on in this section as well. The second section here is summarizing previous research. So you start off by justifying the importance of your topic, introducing your reader to your given topic, and then you kind of dive into telling your reader and helping them understand, what do we already know about a given topic? So you're taking some of the important research papers that have been published on your given topic. You're briefly talking about them and highlighting them, talking about what do the existing studies look like on a given topic, what have they found. You're essentially very, very briefly kind of summarizing what we already know about this given topic. So after you've justified the importance of your topic, you've summarized what we already know, then in the third section of the introduction, in this third paragraph, then you jump into the gap in knowledge that your research is addressing. So in the previous section, you talked about what we already know. So after talking about what we already know about a given topic, what is it that we don't know about this specific topic? What do we don't know, and how is it that our research study is addressing that thing that we don't know about a given topic? So this should be a section where you clearly state the gap in knowledge that you're addressing in your research study. And then the last section or paragraph of your introduction, it should conclude with the purpose of the study. So you should very clearly state the purpose of your study. A really well-written research article will explicitly say, this paper aims to, and you can say whatever it is. Examine the association between race and ethnicity and having health insurance, for example. So you want to make sure you clearly state what the purpose of your study is. And then you also want to make sure that you state any hypotheses that you have. So for example, you could say that individuals from underrepresented racial and ethnic backgrounds will be more likely to be uninsured compared to those who are maybe non-Hispanic white. So you want to make sure you state the purpose and the hypothesis or hypotheses that you're going to, that you think might be the case in your given research study. As I mentioned, I'm going over the introduction section of a research article because this is something that you're going to be working on this quarter. So I just want to kind of highlight the plans for this quarter in terms of what you should expect. So right now, this week, we're in week 3. Next week in week 4, you are going to submit a table that summarizes manuscripts that you're going to use for the introduction section. So you're going to spend essentially this week and next week finding citations and research articles that you can use for this introduction section. You'll put them into a table, which will be helpful for creating an outline. You'll then submit that table summarizing those different manuscripts that you found. That is going to be due at the end of week 4. So I highly encourage you to start this now during week 3, so you give yourself plenty of time to put this table together and find those research articles. Think about research articles that you'd want to pull for each section of the introduction. So remember, you need to justify the importance of the topic. So find articles that help justify the importance of our research study. And then you also need to find articles that kind of summarize what we already know about our given topic. And then in week 5, you're going to submit an outline of the introduction. So the introduction outline is going to include the articles you identified in your summary table that you submitted in week 4, but you're going to include some kind of additional detail on those articles that you'll include kind of in your final submission of that introduction. So this introduction piece is going to be included as one of the major sections of your final paper that you'll turn in for your senior project. And it's also going to be used for writing the actual introduction for the research manuscript that will hopefully submit for publication. So it will be used for 2 purposes: for your paper that's required for this class for your senior project, and also we'll be taking the things that you all write and incorporating them into kind of a final introduction for the manuscript that will then go to an academic journal for submission.